The long-awaited PlayStation 5 is finally coming, and gamers have been looking for any scraps of information they can about the next generation console ahead of its release. Rumors are circulating that this one is going to be an absolute game changer and will seriously take the fight to their main competitors, Microsoft and Nintendo. Luckily for you all, you don't have to worry about scouring the internet for different details because we've collected all the information available about the 5th generation console here in handy video form. What's going on, guys? It's Gamia here. Be sure to subscribe and click that notification bell because today we're going to look at everything we know about the upcoming PlayStation 5. Release date. Let's start off with the big one that everyone wants to know. When exactly will we get to play the damn thing? Well, up until very recently, it had been expected that the console would get a late year release after Sony gave a vague confirmation of a holiday 2020 drop. This led many to assume that it would be coming out closer to Christmas time, which does make a lot of sense from a sales maximization perspective, but a recent leak seemed to suggest we'll be seeing Sony's new effort far sooner than that. Games journalist Patrick Klepek said on his Waypoint Radio podcast that he had knowledge that the console would be released next month, as in February 2020. This ties into reports that Sony are not going to be at this year's E3 event. If they had a console imminently releasing at that time, then it would be crazy not to have a presence there, but if it's out already by that point, then this is less important. Sony is also rumored to be holding a surprise press event in New York City in the next few weeks, which only adds more fuel to the fire. Price. This is perhaps the second most important piece of information gamers want to know about the PlayStation 5. How far are they going to have to stretch their finances to get their hands on it? Well, Sony has yet to make an official statement on how much the console will be priced at upon release, but rumours have suggested it will be at £449 in the UK and $449 in North America. There's no word on other regions yet, but we can expect similar price brackets if this is true. Sony have previously said that they wanted to make the PlayStation 5's price attractive to gamers, showing they've learned well from the mistakes of the high-priced PlayStation 3 and the struggles that caused them when competing with the Xbox 360. How will it look? A blurry and unconfirmed photo has recently leaked online which purports to show what the PlayStation 5 will look like, and it looks pretty good if this is indeed real. It should be taken with a pinch of salt right now, of course, but this image does look like the patent drawings that were going around the web not too long ago, so we're gonna say this one is likely to be true. Launch day games. Another important factor in deciding whether or not to get the new PlayStation upon its release is knowing which games will be available to play on day one. So far, confirmed launch titles appear to include Gran Turismo 7, a Demon's Souls remaster, baseball game MLB The Show 21, Godfall, a loot-based melee action RPG, and Legends, a new IP from Sony Santa Monica Studios. We can reasonably assume to see FIFA and Call of Duty titles on or soon after release as well, and on top of this, there's also been teasers of a Horizon Zero Dawn sequel, a Spider-Man sequel, a new Resident Evil game, Final Fantasy XVI, the long-awaited Final Fantasy VII Remake, a new IP from Sony Interactive Entertainment Japan, another new IP from London Studio, and a new sci-fi IP from Naughty Dog, which has been called a big one by the developers. So it looks like there will be plenty to play when the console hits shelves, and it's good to see that Sony doesn't appear to be relying entirely on sequels to establish franchises, but are also building up some new titles along with them. Backwards compatibility. Yes, Sony fans can rejoice as it has been confirmed by the console's lead architect Mark Kearney that the PlayStation 5 will be backwards compatible with PlayStation 4 games due to the fact that the two consoles are built upon similar internal architectures. The PlayStation VR headset has also confirmed to be compatible with the PlayStation 5, which makes sense given Sony's increased focus on virtual reality. On top of this, DualShock 4 controllers will also work on the new console. It's great to hear that Sony are learning from their mistakes again after the poor backward compatibility available on the PlayStation 4, and it seems to be focused for them this time around, with Sony Interactive Entertainment President Jim Ryan stating in an interview with CNET, whether it's backwards compatibility or the possibility of cross-generational play, we'll be able to transition that community to next gen. It won't be a binary choice about whether you have to be either on PlayStation 4 or next gen to continue your friendship. The user interface. It looks like the PlayStation 5's user interface has been completely overhauled this time, According to reports, it's been modernized heavily and will allow players to see more details about their friends' games without having to open the applications themselves. This is designed to stop players having to waste time in multiplayer by boosting up games just to see what's going on. Instead, multiplayer game servers will show the set of joinable activities in real time, while single-player games will show information like what missions you can do and what rewards you might receive for completing them, all visible in the UI. This is going to save all a lot of hassle and time. Specifications. While information has largely been held close to the chest for most of the other sections discussed here, the console specifications for the PlayStation 5 have been made widely available by Sony, and they've confirmed that it will contain an AMD chip that has a CPU based on the 3rd generation Ryzen line of processors, featuring 8 cores of the firm's new 7nm Zen 2 microarchitecture. It also includes a custom 3D audio unit that will deliver far more immersive in-game sound and will support 8K gameplay with graphics driven by a custom version of Radeon's Navi line. The graphics chip will support ray tracing, something which has already started to become popular in movies and video games and could help to improve game audio too. Games will also load faster and be able to handle more objects on screen at once than current consoles, and characters and cameras will now be able to move faster through game worlds, as environments will be loaded much more quickly. The PlayStation 5 will thankfully also include a disk drive with 100GB capacity, so physical media will still be an option here. New controller design. With a new console design also comes the opportunity for a new controller design, and it looks like Sony have updated the PlayStation 4 controller for its 5th entry, with officials stating that their goal is to deepen the player's feeling of immersion while gaming, and that part of what they're trying to do with the new PlayStation 5 controllers is to reimagine how the sensor touch can add to that immersion. To do this, they've adopted haptic feedback to replace the rumble technology found in past controllers. Haptics, according to Sony, allows gamers to feel a broader range of feedback, so crashing into a wall in a race car feels much different than making a tackle on the football field. You can even supposedly get a sense for different textures when running through fields of grass or plodding through mud. As well as this, they've developed adaptive triggers which have been incorporated into the L2 and R2 buttons of the controllers, meaning developers can now program the resistance of the triggers so that gamers will feel the tactical sensation of doing things like drawing a bow and arrow or accelerating an off-road vehicle through rocky terrain. A recent patent application also appears to confirm that PS5 controllers will feature a microphone, something which was speculated on back when controllers were first revealed. The patent details describe a handheld controller that includes a microphone that would allow players to give voice commands while playing. This adds a whole new dimension to what could be done with the console, though we do have to point out that as with any patent, there's no guarantee that Sony will actually use this with the PlayStation 5's DualShock 5 controller. At the very least though, it does tell us that Sony have an interest in developing the technology, and it looks likely we'll be seeing it on the PlayStation 5. VR support. Yes, we mentioned it briefly already, but it has been confirmed that the PlayStation 5 will support the PSVR as well as the PlayStation Move controllers. More importantly though, with VR being such a big focus for the future of gaming, do Sony have plans to develop a new VR device exclusively for the console? Well, lead architect Mark Kearney has neglected to go into full details regarding this, but has gone on record as saying that VR is very important to their future strategy. His cryptic lack of comment on a new device sounds to us like there may be something coming down on the pipeline that he isn't able to publicly comment on yet. That could be just us reading too much into it. Regardless, it's good to know that you won't have to get rid of your current VR headsets when the console is released. A new logo. Ever since Sony unveiled a new logo for the PlayStation 5, there's been plenty of mocking of it online, given how minimalistic it is and how much it looks like the previous console's logos. While there are valid criticisms and jokes to be made at their expense here, it's also unsurprising they haven't veered too far away from what's worked in the past, as that PlayStation logo is a powerful piece of visual branding, and Sony will no doubt be well aware of this. However you feel about it, at least we have confirmation that this is the logo for Sony's next generation. And energy efficiency. Yes, it looks like Sony are taking attempts to help the planet seriously with their new console, as in conjunction with the Playing for the Planet Alliance, who work to make the video game industry more environmentally friendly, Sony have announced that their next generation of its hardware will use dramatically less power when placed into suspend or sleep mode. Data suggests that just 1 million PS5 users turning on the energy efficient feature would save enough electricity to power 1,000 US homes. These are very promising statistics, and it's good to see Sony are taking a socially conscious approach to the PlayStation 5, both providing them good PR and helping to leave the world in a bit of a better place. But there you have it guys, everything we know about the PlayStation 5 so far. Be sure to leave your comments down below, subscribe if you haven't already, follow us on Instagram and Twitter, and I'll see you next time with some more video game content.